look at silent issues making the rounds. We'll be looking at issues on the scene and also looking at issues on the national and sub-national levels. We'll be looking at, from the global level, we'll be looking at the U.S. elections, where Trump formally secures the Republican nomination, is one of the talking points we'll be looking at on today's edition of the program. The desk will also be looking at other highlights of events playing out in the U.S. as we get set for the U.S. elections, where Trump names J.D. Vance as the running mate. We'll be looking at the fact that the former president, Donald Trump, has named 39-year-old Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio as his running mate. We'll be looking at the implications of that particular talking point and moving forward to other issues making the round. To also be looking at the verification fee be demanded by Saudi Arabia, talking about the United Arab Emirates for Nigerians to pay a total of 640,000 naira non-refundable verification fee. These and other stories is what we'll be looking at on today's edition of the program. The desk will go for a quick break. When we return from the break, I will be introducing my guests and will we hit the discuss button. Stay with us. All right, in a momentous turn of events at the Republican National Convention 2024, former President Donald Trump has officially surpassed the total number of votes required to secure the Republican nomination for president. This marks a significant victory for Trump and his supporters as the party rallies behind their candidate with renewed vigor. The announcement came during the convention's opening proceedings on Monday, settling the triumphant tone for the days ahead. All right, that's how I make you welcome to today's edition of the program, The Desk on Global Television. Let me introduce my guest. He's not that person, but Toba Owojaye, who is a legislative aide and a political analyst to help us look at all the very interesting talking points we'll be looking at on today's edition. Let's begin from the U.S. The assassination attempt seemed to be a blessing in disguise for Trump, but how far and how well would this take him? For him to win the nomination of number of votes, would you ascribe it to the fact that he has always had large number of supporters, or that assassination attempt, which some people feel it was staged, did wonders?
Yeah, I think it pushed him over the top. He was already doing very well, but I believe that it pushed him over the top. I still believe it is an assassination attempt, though anybody who says it's staged has some metrics that they can point to. The fact that the person was killed immediately, so we don't have any confession from the shooter. The fact that it was something that the security details should have picked up. So is this the government against him? Is this a deep state issue? Is this to rally up support for him? But he was already doing very well already with his party. America is highly divided. It's even worse than what we had in the Nigerian election. The American populace are highly divided. Some people want Trump by all means, and some people would rather die than have Trump as their president. So it's quite a tight one. But it makes for the good media.
But would you say it was, like you said, wanting him dead, that's the assassin now, the fact that he was killed on the spot rather than maybe weakened or done something so that they could get some statement or information from him? Do you think they did it based on the fact that they just wanted to take him out in order not for anything to be reviewed, or because they were scared he was going to fire more shots at Trump?
You see, this is where it all gets bungled up. Was this the government trying to cover their tracks? Was this pro-Trump people also trying to cover their tracks? Why was the guy killed immediately? Was he a threat? Couldn't he have been shot in the legs or somewhere else?
Neutralized.
Couldn't he have been tased? There are many other options. So there's an element of cover-up here. But I would hold that more on the part of the government, who controls the forces, than of Trump, who is scampering for his life. So, and it was a very close miss, just a slight turn of the head, if you've watched the clips, a very slight turn of his head, which got his ear still bruised by the bullet. So how do you risk your life for that kind of a show, except you have rehearsed
but some say Trump
times.
Is someone who has always been in the showbiz. We know he used to have a showbiz show on TV where he brought people who wanted to seek for funds and would have to prove to him why they deserve this.
Yes.
So he has always been a showbiz person who likes to be in the media. So some have alleged that probably it's. But let's look at on the flip side. What does this mean in terms of, like today he showed up again for the first time after that assassination attempt? How high would the security be beefed up? And do you think he's endangering his life still coming out?
Yes, he is endangering his life. But if you're Trump, what are you living for? You're a billionaire. You've seen everything. You've been president. You've been fought against. You've been pushed back the blocks. What are you living for? You see, in life, you have to just know what you're living for. He has an opportunity of a lifetime to be president, removed. He has a chance to look back and see what he did and what he didn't do well, and then see that Biden is goofing largely in the eyes of many of the voters and populace. So this is if Biden had done exceptionally well and is looking like he's the best mental state, I don't think Trump will have even come out, because he has a lot of people who are against him. But right now, there's a chance. Even if I was not Trump, if I was any other candidate, I would make a move on Biden.
All right, let's move to the next talking point as we look at the fact that the former President Donald Trump has named a 39-year-old Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio as his running mate for the next U.S. general election. Trump made this greatly anticipated and high-stakes announcement as the Republican National Convention kicked off. And Fox News reports that Vance hails from Ohio, a one-time battleground state. The former president comfortably carried in the 2016 and 2020 elections. The senator's selection is expected to boost Trump's among a working-class Democrat. Do you think this move by the fact that this is a younger person that is his running mate, and Ohio being a very, very important state at that, it was a masterstroke choice by Trump?
It was a masterstroke choice. I didn't, for all my political punditry, I didn't see it coming. But it's a good choice. Trump is in his 70s. It's good to pick a young person. The guy is a former Marine. He has Marine experience. He schooled in Ohio State University. He schooled in Yale Law School. He's a book writer. His book became a movie. He's a venture capitalist. They believe about the same things.
So they have that in common, the capitalist ideology.
Yes, and he's a very good lawyer. So when you put, and the fact that it's about the youngest vice president they've had in the last 30 years, plays well for Trump. And then he has some good rapport with the middle class and with most of the union groups. So this is a good thing for Trump. Trump cannot hide the fact that he's aging. Biden is aging, so he needs to show like he's bringing a young person that he can mentor and guide and make, because he has just one term.
Is there a possibility there might just be another attempt on Trump's life, knowing fully well that now no complete investigation or details has come out as to who is behind this, or whoever must have tried the first attempt? Are we likely to see a second or a third attempt?
I don't think so. If I would see any attempt, it would be if he wins the election and becomes president. I think there may be people who are more convenient with Vance than they are with Trump. He was asked about his stand on abortions and gay stuff. He said, this is not something I want to talk about. So this is more of the kind of candidate that the general American populace will want to gather around. Somebody who says, I have my opinion, but I don't want to make it. But Trump is not that. Trump is, I have my opinion and I'm going to tell you my opinion once and for all. So they may be more comfortable with his vice presidential choice and may have an attempt on his life once he becomes president.
All right, let's leave the U.S. and let's talk about bilateral ties between the UAE and Nigeria, as the UAE lifted a visa ban on Nigerians. The big story tells us that the United Arab Emirates has lifted the visa ban on Nigerians traveling to that country. An official has announced. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, in the person of Mohammed Idris, disclosed this while briefing State House correspondent. He has said that the UAE, December 2021, was when the issue of a travel ban on passengers from Nigeria and the Democratic Republic of Congo, citing a surge in the country's COVID-19 from passengers to the two nations. In June, the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace, Festus Keyamo, hinted that the visa restriction on Nigerians would soon be lifted. How would you hail this? Would you say it's good news? Because already the minister says Nigerians can travel as soon as even today, as the ban is lifted. Has it been positive for Nigeria not having during that ban, or you think it's a win-win situation for both countries?
Yeah, you see, most people don't even believe it yet until we have some key celebrities and people travel, then people will believe it. Right now, it's still, I can assure you that 7% of people do not even believe it yet, because there was a cry wolf earlier in the year that has been lifted, and it now backfired on their faces. So right now, everybody is not celebrating it. But I remember Adeyanju and other people saying, if Tinubu is able to pull this off, this will be the greatest thing he has done in his tenure. They said that last year. So if this works out, you see, Dubai is like an extension of Nigeria. Nigerians who are wealthy like to go there, chill off, buy stuff, bring back for business. So
it had favored them more than it favored Nigeria.
Yes, but Nigerians buy stuff and bring back. So for the elite, it's business. For those on tourism, it's a place to go and rest, to chill. For those into real estate, I hear that second to 2 other countries, Nigeria owns the highest number of real estate in Dubai. Because in Dubai, you can buy off you can own a property, and then agencies will come to you, collect your property, and use it for rent. So they are making money off it. You are making money off it. It's a steady business. And this is what Nigerians, the elite, want, something that they can do and turn over funds from. So it's good for us. It shows that the president knows his onions. He knows the problems. He's able to resolve it. He had to clear up a backlog of $85 million of pending money that Nigeria owed them in
repatriation.
Yes, in flights. So he's insistent on the things he needs to do, and I think we should give him some praise. But I'm sure people won't believe it until 1 or 2 celebrities travel there and then show us clips that they're there.
All right, let's still talking about the Nigerian UAE talking point, looking at the verification fees. The next talking point, as Nigerian passport holders intending to visit the United Arab Emirates are now mandated to first obtain a document verification number, DVN, before applying for visa. Available information on the Emirates verification website suggests that Nigerians will have to pay a non-refundable fee of 640,000 naira fee for document verification. It is said that the issued document verification number will be valid for only 14 days from issuance. And the report also tells us that the Nigerian government announced this on Monday and reached an agreement with the UAE to allow Nigerian passport holders to obtain visas for travel to the Arab nations starting from July 15th. Let's look at this non-refundable fee of 640,000. Don't you think it's extreme and unfair on the part of Nigerians, knowing that Nigerians are traveling there, like you rightly pointed out, most times for business?
Yes.
And the time frame to travel, it's 14 days. Is that too small, considering how much money they have to pay? Shouldn't Nigeria negotiate on this matter?
I don't think they'll start with a negotiation. This is something you followed for 2 years to get it. First of all, get it, right? And get it working. Let Nigerians begin to travel. Those who can afford it. There are people who can afford that 640,000. But it's just a 14-day trip. I don't know why I would want to spend that much on a 14-day trip. But I'm sure once it starts working, they could come to some understanding. Something in the neighborhood of 200,000 for me, or 300,000 is more realistic. This is way too high, but as a president, I won't negotiate on that for now. Whoever wants to travel, you said you wanted to go, now this is the road, this is the fee. If you can make it, you go. So.
All right, let's hope things are going to get...
not for the poor.
Rightly pointed out there. All right, let's still move on. We're still talking issues making the rounds. We're still looking at, it looks like a lot of stories concerning Nigeria and UAE. So we're looking at Nigerian government repatriating 190 citizens from UAE is the big talking point, because the Nigerian government says it has repatriated 190 Nigerians from the United Arab Emirates. It says the returnees were received at Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport at around 5:45 a.m. On Tuesday morning, that's this morning, by a combined team of the government officials led by the National Emergency Management Agency. A statement signed by Bashir Idris Garba, NEMA Director, North Central Zone, said the returnees were profiled and documented by the relevant agencies and sensitized to behave with decorum and responsibility on their return to Nigeria. That sounded very conflicting. Why actually behave with decorum when returning back to Nigeria? Are they saying technically, they didn't mention if these people were persons of a bad character in the UAE, or they had drug-related issues?
Part of why Nigerians are going through a lot of this struggle is that Nigerians have a lot of good people and a lot of bad people. A lot of people, the Nigerian embassy had to start using Indians in Dubai to work in their embassy. Nigeria's embassy in Dubai, at the time when this was functional, had to employ Indians to work in our embassy.
I think it's also, there's a report on it in Vietnam also, was what I noticed in Vietnam.
Yes,
we had Vietnamese working in the embassy. Even when you go to the Nigerian embassy in Vietnam, it was the Vietnamese that attended to me in Vietnam rather than Nigeria.
You see, because there's something we need to fix about our attitude. We have this, not all of us, but a lot of us, okay? This I don't care attitude, I'm just here to make something for myself. You attend to somebody as it's going, you ask say anything for the boys. And then this is even the mild part of it. There's fraud, there's drugs. We are not helping our country. If this is the reputation about us, we're going to be kicked off. My elder sister was in Switzerland for 2 years. She wasn't doing well off financially there. After 2 years, they called her and said, we've watched you for 2 years and you are good. She says, we've been watching you for 2 years. You don't do drugs. You don't do this. You don't. So they watch Nigerians. You see, and we are capitalists. Naturally, a Nigerian is a hustler. Every Nigerian is a hustler. So we need to check our attitude. We need to put the best people. That is beyond putting 640,000 as the limit. We need to put people of good characters in countries. Let us build back our Nigerian image. Our image is battered all over the world. But good for us, we have some wonderful people. Dr. Amusa and many other sports people making us proud across the globe. We need a fixed Nigerian image.
In as much as we blame Nigerians, shouldn't the government also have a share of the blame? Because if Nigeria was working, most Nigerians wouldn't want to jackpot, like we say, and leave the country.
Yes, I agree with that. Nigeria is not working as it is. But that's not the reason you go to another country and go and sell drugs or become a prostitute. Or there's a minimum wage. There are other jobs you could pick up. Not every Nigerian finds themselves in that field. We are not the only people from Africa. There are other Africans there. These are things, we blame the government, but whoever is going out is not going out as the government. It's going out as a Nigerian. Remember the country. Forget the politics. Remember the country you're coming from. Back in our days, we are leaving the house, they will say, remember the family you come from. Remember whose child you are. We need to go back to this.
All right, in case you're just joining us, you're watching The Desk on Global Television, and we'll be looking at issues that are making the rounds from the global scene down to the national level. We'll go for a very quick break. When we return, we'll be looking at the illegal mining taking place in Nigeria as the military supports the temporary ban on mining. And so we'll be looking at what the Nigerian military says it will support temporary ban on mining activities to address the general insecurity in the country. The Chief of Defense Staff, Chris Musa, did make mention of that. That is what we'll be looking at, and other interesting talking points after this break. Stay with us. Is the desk on Global Television.
Nigeria. Come join Anthony Momodu on television's most compelling and facts-finding talk live show.
We are definitely. Can we not say that dynamic because
that this country gets it right?
Who are these bandits?
It's the Desk on Global Television, where we analyze and dissect storming issues and commentaries in the world's biggest black nation, Nigeria.
Who is being held accountable for this money?
The eyes have it.
We stay and decide policies and reforms on the decks. Tune in Mondays to Fridays, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Global Television. Let's stay on the decks.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective,
I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Welcome back from the break. You're still watching the desk on Global Television and appearing before the House of Representatives Committee on Solid Minerals, the committee investigating illegal mining in Nigeria, Christopher Musa, who was represented by the Director of Operations of the Nigerian Defense Headquarters in Mecca, Ignatius, stated that the military backs the call for a one-year suspension of mining activities in the country. The military stance on the suspension of mining was in response to the speech made by the House Leader, Julius Ehogbare, wherein he said that the lower chamber would consider drastic measures in solid mineral sector. Speaking on the proposed suspension, Musa said there is a connection between insecurity and illegal mining in the country. Do you agree with the CDS?
100%. I agree that there's a connection between mining and insecurity. This is why we have these issues. Okay, there are countries like China that have a mining satellite, so they know where the minerals are in Nigeria, and Nigeria doesn't even know where the minerals are most times. So when they arrive the country, they have a compass, and they find their way exactly to where the mineral is, and they start mining, or they try and apply for a lease. And we also have this from the generals, from the cabal, who find a village that is sitting on a mining site. Instead of them to look for compensation to settle the villagers for them to move off that land, they now use insecurity to chase the people of that land. Why is it hard? A woman who is a grandmother who is 70-something, 80-something years, doesn't want to move from her ancestral home for no reason. So instead of trying to compensate them and move them, you use insecurity, and then you force them to flee their communities. Once they know that there's insecurity in that place, nobody goes back to check what's going on in that place, and then mining starts. When you heard last year that Zamfara said that there's a no-fly zone order on the state, when there's no airport in the state, so what flight were they stopping from flying? So this is known that people take minerals and fly off on smaller jetty planes and land somewhere else and then move out. Once this happens, this is because we have a system that is wrong. We have complained about it. Move these minerals from Federal Reserve, move it to the power of the state. Let the state own its minerals and pay a heavy tax to the government. Then the state will make it a business. There is something wrong with us mining oil in Port Harcourt and not able to mine gold in Zamfara. These are the reasons. This is the tipping scale that Nigeria is falling off of. Why are we using the resources in Bayelsa for national good and then the minerals in other states and a reserve of the federal. And the states are now building around it to ensure the federal can do nothing about it. And they are now illegally mining it instead of legally mining it. Mine it legally. Make your profit off it. And pay taxes and royalties to the federal. And then use some part of the money for CSRs in the community in which you took these resources from. This is the way forward.
But can we say the current Minister of Solar Minerals, Dele Alake's program alongside the presidency, the regulations, the new mining regulations, is probably not friendly to the states or the would-be potential mining companies or individuals? That's why they're finding it hard to adhere or fall in line as to collecting the licenses and falling into line. Can we say probably it's not beneficial? Maybe that's why they're finding it hard. And the essence of states owning they don't want to agree, especially those from the northern region, because they believe if that law comes to pass or that policy comes to bear, the people of South might have the advantage because of the oil from that region.
Yes, they would, but it won't happen for long. For heaven's sake, Kogi has minerals. Nasarawa has minerals. Zamfara is filled with gold. Jos has minerals. There are minerals everywhere. The issue is, once you agree to this, then you're going to have a problem with like you said, the structure in which we are running in the South, where we are getting their oil and giving them almost peanuts. Let us change all of this. Let the South be able to, and the oil-producing states, be able to make a chunk of it, but stipulate what it can be used for. This amount of money must go to the local community that it was gotten from. This amount of money must go as CSR into healthcare. You must, if you get 10 billion, 1 billion must be used for primary and secondary education. Stipulate these things, let it be clear, so that a state can take up its own resources, build companies around it. Do you know how many people will be employed if a gold mining corporation starts in Zamfara?
Okay,
that means there'll be flights every day. The hotels will be booked every day. We are talking about an economy.
Okay, let's look at what the military is trying to achieve as quell insecurity in the country by 1 year suspension. Do you think this suspension period is the right move? Because when you suspend activities, what it simply means you're giving those who are culpable the opportunity to run away or go into hiding for the 1 year. And so how do they find these people? But probably they wouldn't have, why don't you swoop on them and catch them and be able to investigate, and then you can get details of who are those behind this illegal mining, rather than tell them, okay, in the next 1 year, no illegal mining. Is the military being completely sincere?
In my opinion, they're trying to clear the coast. They're trying to say, we want to ensure that you don't have a reason to be here.
Okay, so that if you're seen, we know that...
So if you are seen here, you can now not say you are mining. Okay? We have told you there's no mining for 1 year. So when we get to this place that we know you were some weeks ago, and we meet you there, you have to explain what you're doing there. So it's not the best move, but it's a right move in the right direction. Let's clear all of these places where communities couldn't exist again. Let's get communities back there. See, there's a global agenda or thought that believes that by 2050 or 2070, 90% of the world will be in urban cities. I'm sure you've heard about that. And that villages would almost cease to exist and will only have mining and farming settlements. Now, insecurity is also a play to force that agenda. So once you clear the villages off and you clear people off and everybody runs away, and almost everybody in the village is dead, because I had the aide of a governor say to me that his governor said, you cannot protect rural places. They are too big for you to protect. Which village can you protect? So these are the challenges. We are playing into a global agenda, and it's going to be dangerous. And I'm happy the president is not playing into this. Let's see how much we can curb insecurity. Let's see how much we can return people back to their ancestral homes. This is very important.
Okay, on the part of the military, do you see them succeeding in terms of fishing out the bad eggs within this 1 year period? Is it enough time? And how do you think it's also going to affect the genuine investors and companies who are already have been mining genuinely?
We are looking at investors coming. See, if you are mining genuinely, then open a corporation, for heaven's sake. How are you mining genuinely without a company?
But this ban is a general blanket.
That's what I'm saying. But if you are mining genuinely, you should have a company. You should have staff. You should have. There's nothing hidden in mining. Nothing should be hidden. Nothing should be under the table in mining. It's a business. It's like saying we have bunkering and we have oil. We have a shell. We have LNG. So are you saying LNG should close down and be something we should be hiding? No, make it a corporation. Bring a big name to your state. But this, you see, this is what I'm saying. The states and the cabal don't want that. As far as the money is going to end up in the federal coffers. Zamfara State brought out its minerals once and put on the table, I believe you remember that, in the last government. Immediately he bragged and showed that this gold on this table is worth 5 billion. Then people behind told him, you want the federal government to collect the gold? That's the last time we saw the gold on the table. These things must change.
Okay, let's look at the fact that foreigners have been arrested. According to the military, they've arrested a lot of foreigners, but no details was given. Do you think that's the shady part of the deal, that you arrest foreigners, you know those who are behind it, but you refuse to name names and shame them?
It's tough, because when you arrest people and they have some sort of backing, which is why they are now making this completely illegal. When they have some sort of backing, you are careful as a military person. Last week, my phone was stolen not less than 2 kilometers from your office. And when I went to do a police extra, the policeman said, we have complained about these boys. Some of our bosses even shot 2 of them and killed them. And weeks later, those 2 people who shot them were dismissed. So these are the kind of things we are talking about. There was a lady who was there and said, if I point the boys, I know them. When you leave here, they'll come back for me in 2 weeks' time. These are the problems. How do you arrest somebody, name him, and 1 month later you are sacked for it? So people are apprehensive. We need a thorough cleaning of Nigeria. The corruption is too endemic. It's too systemic. So you are afraid to even be a good man in Nigeria.
Very sad commentary there in terms of what's playing out in Nigeria. But let's just to wrap it up, for the issue of the state government, do you think the states are also to be blamed, not coming out to also help the federal government in identifying those who are responsible? Because first of all, those are in the state level and local government level, they know these persons.
Have you noticed that no single state governor, anytime they mention it, they say there's bandits in our state. Some people came to talk with the bandits in our state. Who is some people? I've had Zamfara governor say it before. There are people in our state. Everybody is avoiding mentioning the names. Because I believe until you have, if I was a governor, I wouldn't even be mentioning names. I'll be leaking your videos out through social media. I would leak your videos out. Nobody will be able to hold me. You came to a site, if I get the audios or the pictures, I will leak it out to social media. Let the people face you. But right now, you see, politicians are careful. They're always careful for their votes. They are careful for tomorrow. Careful, what will people say? Will there be a backlash? These are all the things that make Nigeria go 1 step forward and 2 steps backwards.
All right, let's move on to the next talking point. Let's take you to Kano State, where we're looking at the Kano Emirship at Toso, as the Kano State High Court on Monday granted the perpetual injunction restraining the 15th Emir of Kano, Aminu Adewu Bayero, and 4 others, other dethroned emirs of Bichi, Rano, Agaya, and Karaye from parading themselves as emirs. The applicants are the Attorney General of Kano State and the Speaker of the Kano State House of Assembly and the Kano State who, through their counsel, Ibrahim Isa Wagida, filed the motion ex parte dated 27th May. The applicant sought a court order restraining Ado Bayero and 4 others, dethroned emirs of Bichi, Rano, Gaya, and Karaye from Paradi themselves. The respondent. Let's look at this issue, never-ending story. With this current recent move, and still the judiciary being used to perpetrate this, how do you see this ending? With this latest, it looks like, can we say this is the final nail on the coffin?
You see, this is why we're saying that sometimes there's too much power in the state. And let's spread power from states to local governments to federal, because there's a strong notion that the NMPP is supportive of the present emir.
And Sanusi.
Yes,
okay.
And the presidency and APC is in support of
Ado
Bayero. So with this play, this shows you that if this is true, and I think it's 80% what is
it ongoing. Because we have Ribadu at a point was fingered to had given some bit of support, allegedly?
Yes, yes. So if this is what is playing out, then that shows you that the state government is showing the federal government that on matters in Kano, we have the law behind us. And they have the law behind them. This is not them cooking up the law. Once you have the state government, you have the House of Assembly, and you appointed the Attorney General of the state, then you have the law. And the Constitution also supports it. The Constitution places the governor above every traditional ruler in a state. We understand that traditionally the emir is stronger than any governor. We are seeing the same thing playing out in Sokoto. We are seeing the head of all Muslims in Nigeria.
That's the Sultan now.
The Sultan of Sokoto.
Abubakar Sahad III.
Now he's not able by law to
choose emirs and
or
district
remove
heads.
a district head. This has never happened in the history of Nigeria. So, but the Constitution empowers it. So this is a matter between custom and Constitution. So by Constitution, what is done is right. So, but we watch and see whether the people will uphold the Constitution and the government, or they would side with their traditional positions.
All right, but do you see this spilling out to become violent? Because we know that still looking at it, others that were involved had to do with the Inspector General of Police was also mentioned in this matter. Do you think the police will be dragged into this? And which sides do you think the Nigerian Police Force is likely to take?
Yes, as far as the side of the governor is the side that is on the seat right now, and his House of Assembly is intact, I don't think there's much. And APC is enjoying their federal might. Ganduje is the chairman of the party. He's been able to get positions for his faithfuls. They would manage. They're not happy with the situation, but they will manage it. That's not. If it was the other way around, in which the state government didn't want Sanusi, and he was there, then we would have an issue in Kano. But the way it is now, APC just licks their wound, and waits for another day.
All right, let's wrap it up in Rivers State, where the crisis rocking the oil-rich state of Rivers, South Nigeria, took another dimension with the factional lawmakers loyal to former Governor Nyesom Wike barring further spending from government accounts. They took action after a 7-day ultimatum. They slammed on Governor Sim Fubara to represent the 2024 budget elapsed. One of the lawmakers, Major Jack, raised the motion informing the House about the expiration of the 7-day ultimatum given to the governor to present the 2024 budget before the House, while Martin Amawule led assembly therefore resolved the governor Fubara is no longer allowed to approve or authorize expenditure from the Consolidated Revenue a fund of the state. Neither are the ministries permitted to spend public funds until the 2024 budget is presented. This not, it looks like a play of rascality everywhere. These are lawmakers that ordinarily do not exist by the law.
They exist by the law.
Because they had defected already.
They said they have not defected.
But there's evidences. Do you think this is a question of the governor, the government, and the judiciary, the Nigerian police being complicit to what is playing out in Rivers State?
No, like I've told you many times, we've had this discussion at each point in which this drama
every time we
playing.
talked about it, a week gone by, a new court order comes up, and
that's what I'm saying. You see, Sim has never played state politics. If he had played state politics, he had the many options of what to do. You are the governor. Get your house of assembly is your only Achilles heel as a governor, except you are being impeached by the or you are being state of emergency by the president. The only other people that have a hold on you is your house of assembly. These are people you should woo. These are people you should play soft with. Now you cannot tell us that 5 people removed 27 people in that house. There's nowhere that logic will stand on his head. And those guys have been able to remain and stay and become a thorn in his flesh. These are matters you could have settled. Now he can hardly be impeached. What they are trying to get here is an impeachable offense. And that's what they are warming up to. So he needs, you see, this is part of what Wike was saying. You don't have the political experience yet. Let's support you for a while until you're strong. Now we're already seeing the signs of that. He has not been able to deal with this problem. This is 1 year. There has been threats. There have been, people will come from the creeks. They will come and fight. In a few days, it all fizzled out. So what he needs to do is go back to that negotiation table. What are the issues? My brother, there's no issue here. It's just egos here. There's no issue here. You and Wike meet, shake hands. What is the problem? What is the problem? There's nothing here. There's nothing to this.
Do you see the governor representing that budget?
He may have to. It's tough. He may have to.
And if he doesn't, do you think we might see bloodletting in Rivers the way it's turning out if he decides to stand his ground?
We may see an impeachment order. See, he just needs good advisors. He just needs people to tell him this thing can be played out differently. It's not there's nobody who goes into a fight and does not have a retreating policy plan. There's nothing to this. You call all the elders in Rivers State, call the president back on board, call the PDP chairman, call Goodluck, call Patience, bring everybody to the table, and everybody will say they are begging you. This is a drama. They are begging you to calm down. Then with all these elders begging you, you say, with all these elders, who am I not to calm down? Not because I can't deal with Wike or these boys, but because of all these elders, I have to leave this fight. And then you calm down. That's all. What is hard here?
But would that be fair enough? Why should he be the one backing down and not the reverse?
How is it going to happen reversely? He's the one being hostaged at the jugular. Wike is breathing fine here.
Are you saying he cannot use the power of incumbency to get those lawmakers out of the way?
How?
Use the state security apparatus and all every other apparatus.
There's no security apparatus in the state. You don't control the police. This is what we are saying. Who do you control? It's like people don't really get who do you control? The police?
So are you saying he's right now he has nowhere to turn to?
He is not completely. See, this is chess. He has not been fully backed into a corner.
A corner.
You see, where the presidency is afraid of this matter is that if you go into the people are behind him. First of all, let's have that. The people of Rivers now are behind him. If you go fully for him, then you are going to have a problem with the people. You're going to have a problem with the creeks. You're going to have a problem with fuel production. You're going to have a problem with Nigeria.
But is that not good enough for him to also hold the government and the Nigerian people to the jugular too?
That is what he's doing.
All right, so let's see how this is going to pan out. It means it's going to be an interesting boiling point in Rivers State to keep our eyes fixed to see how this is going to pan out. I want to say a big thank you to Toba Owojaye, who is a legislative aide and also a political analyst, for joining us on the desk and for his very sound analysis of all the talking points from the global scene to the subnational level and the national level. My name is Anthony Momodu saying thank you for joining us on the desk.